Today on Brier Cemetery, we're going to do an unboxing of Cagey the Clown with Kid in Cage. Like and subscribe. This is Cagey the Clown with a Kid in the Cage. You might have seen this online. It's a clown. It's about 7 feet tall with a kid inside of it trying to get out. This looks to be $5.59 of $12.50, which means that this was a pretty limited run, which I'm kind of surprised. I thought they'd make more, but maybe their different versions kind of balance them out, because you can get this with another clown inside the cage. The dimensions of the box are 31.5 by 26 by 16.5, give or take. It's kind of a big box. Weighs about 40, maybe 35 pounds, around there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take everything out of the box and we're going to visually inspect it on the ground. And from that point, I'm going to tell you what the pros and cons that I see and that I can fix, because there are times that I do have to enhance a prop. So there was a box inside a box. So for visual representation, we're just going to go through and show you how the box is laid out. It's by Seasonal Visions International. That's the company name. There's a couple things here, like the clown's body turns from side to side, cage kid moves forward and back, clown's eyes light up and mouth moves. It's moisture sensitive activated. 14 and up. It's actually, it looks to be only 6 feet high. I wasn't sure where to hook this up. I was going to put this in the basement because my ceilings are kind of low, but I decided to do it upstairs. It includes almost 6-volt 2-amp adapter, volume control, and a wire activated pad, which is kind of nice. There he is. There's the kid in the cage. Eyes light up and move, and down here it moves back and forth. I'm going to flip this over and I'll show you the back. Just the back, it's just kind of a warning thing saying not to modify the prop. I've modified these countless times. I put them on push button triggers, like wirelessly, which works for me. I don't really care about this, but in case you did want to know what was on this side, it's basically saying, you know, the instructions and the rules and whatnot, not a toy. So it's really not that important. So here's some parts to it. You got your instructions. Looks like you got some clown shoes over here. Looks like his head's down there. There's the little girl. The clothing, step pad, AC adapter. I can immediately tell that these hands, they're going to have to be beefed up with some pool noodles, but we'll get to that in a second. All in all, it looks packed pretty well. There's a few things at the bottom that I can't see. But like I said, I'm going to get everything out of here and then we'll go from there. These are all the parts of the Cagey Clown with the Kid, and as you can see, we have the masks, clothing, step pad, arms, pipes to interconnect everything, the little girl base with the cage. Looks like the base. This is the motor with the sound, his feet, and the instructions. The instructions, I believe Haggard was made by the same company, maybe not, but they look very similar in style. So I'm going to come back with everything assembled because these look pretty straightforward. Alright, maybe I will go through the instructions just so you know what you're getting into. Step 1, these are tucked in underneath like this. They just fan out to give it more support. So like this and that would be on the inside, and there's a hinge on it. You just hinge them out and then take 2 of the B's and we're going to stick them into these 2 holes. Next, after that's done, you're just going to take his feet, and his 2 feet are going to slide into the 2 sides. The one closest to you, it looks like it's his right foot, and the one further away is the left. So I went a few steps ahead after fanning those out. Just install these pipes here. They're just the same number, I think it's B. And then you slide his shoes over, and then there's these corner braces, which I believe are his knees. And then we're going to go from there. So step 2 was just basically installing these clown shoes after you install these 2 side pipes. Really easy. Up here there's another extension, an angled cut. It angles up on each side. Now I ran into my first issue with this prop. They want you to use these, I want to say, I don't know, styrofoam legs to wrap around and go down to his shoes, kind of like this. So I don't like this. First of all, it's not really uniform. So this has happened to me before on the Haggard Witch, and what we're going to do is I'm just going to put pool noodles on there instead. You might want to, if you do go this method, you might want to label right and left, because if you take this apart, you will need to come in here and push this in to take it apart, and then just kind of label what it is, left and right, lower and upper, because I might do this section too, because essentially this is part of his leg too. So we'll go from there and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, so I came back and gave him the pool noodle adjustment. Like I said, I'm not using those things. They're, I don't know, they make his legs look baggy. I don't know, maybe that's part of the look, but next thing would be to beef up the kneecap, which isn't a big deal. Just take a pool noodle, a little section of it, and tape it here, but don't connect it, so that when you do take it apart, it'll still have that knee joint. And like I said, you might want to label them, because they are different sizes, although very, very minuscule. And the only thing that's great about this is that when you have this on the base of his foot, it actually keeps it in place pretty well, because it's pressing down on it, and it's more uniform than that sloppiness that's going on there. I guess if you wanted to, you could tape that around it, which would give him more of a you know, a beefier leg, which I might do. I mean, I can't see the harm in it. Just tape it around it, but leave enough gap to get in there and release it. So we're gonna go from there. We'll see afterwards, because it's gonna come down after I hook everything up anyway. So we'll see in a minute here what we're working with, and if these top parts are really necessary. All right, so now we've got into the actual dressing of him, at least his lower half. And looking at it, I really think that the added pool noodles did benefit him. It does add a little bit more definition. I think you actually could come around and actually pad it up even more with some sort of, you know, either a towel or something lightweight, like maybe a large roll of styrofoam, and go around it a few times if you want to beef his legs up. But we'll see what he looks like. I want it to be consistent. I don't want his legs to be, you know, like, you know, he did a leg day and skipped his upper body. So in a second here, we're going to keep going, and we'll see what it looks like, and modifications will come later. Next up was his torso controller, and his it actually added a whole bunch of stability. Just before, it was kind of like, you know, what's going on here? But yeah, you could come in here and you put this onto these two, and then you install this cross brace, which probably gives it stability, and it probably fills out his inner frame. Now looking at these pool noodles, You could sort of kind of see them under the fabric, so I might have to come back here and paint them white. I think white would be a good, I think it would be a good, what's it called, or maybe gray, I don't know, just to blend in better. But then again, it could be the lighting in here. I have some really bright CFLs going on in here, so we'll see afterwards. But next step should be top part. We should be concentrating on his top. Well, this thing just keeps getting higher and higher. Okay, so now we have up here, which I believe are his shoulders, and it latches into the back here, which probably gives it the head turning movement. But oh my god, I'm glad I did it up here, because this would have never fit in my basement. So let's go from there. The next step is this little section here. It looks like it might be his spine. It just goes up there and rests, like it probably fills his frame out. Next up is his top. I suggest either having a step stool or somebody to assist you, because it's pretty high. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I had to reach up there. I always hated dressing these things. They're always such a pain, but it looks like the next steps are pretty straightforward. Arms are gonna go in. Head on top, the motion sensor, there's a hole there for the motion sensor, and I'll see if I run into any issues. So his arms are on and his head are on. Yeah, he's a big prop. I wasn't expecting this. I expect him to be just a tad bit smaller, but you know what? This thing is great. I love it. So we're going to go from here, and it looks like it's just going to be the cage and stuff. So I'm going to go to that. So here she is finished. They did give you a step pad. At least I got a step pad, but her motion sensor's here. Remember I showed you up front that actually the cage actually connects into that. So, so that it gives it more stability. But you keep adding to this thing. And you're like, is it going to stay? Is it going to stand? The cage was pretty easy. You attach the base, and then you attach these poles. These corner poles each have a push button release. And then you attach the top. And you would think it would be a little harder, like you'd have to line up all the holes. But it's not too bad, because these pipes, they're actually like, you can actually pop them out this way instead of getting them into the grooves. Like if you look here, it'll pop out sideways like that, so it's not so bad. All you have to do is just kind of get it back in the groove, and then you're good to go. So in a second here, I'm going to get the right volume, and I hope I can get back far enough to get his whole movement. So stay tuned. Okay, so here's some of his routines.
To choose from. Stop your fighting, you're making it hard to carry. You're so energetic. I'll have to make this extra deep. We don't want you escaping now, do we?
So there's a couple of his phrases. I'm going to add lighting, because right now I just have CFLs blasting on him. In a second here, I'm going to see what he looks like with the correct lighting, and I'm going to get rid of some of the studio lighting. So you can have this hooked up a couple ways. You could have it with the step mat, which I have right now. You can have it constantly on, or you can have it motion sensor. I just figured for the sake of this video, it would be easier to show you with a step mat.
Stop your fighting, you're making it hard to carry. You're so energetic. I'll have to make this extra deep. We don't want you escaping now, do we?
But I really like his mouth movement. I like the whole kid in the cage idea. Here's my review of Cagey the Clown with Girl in Cage. I love this prop. It's really detailed. His face is excellent. The girl, she might not be as detailed, but she's a smaller thing you really shouldn't be focusing on. This would be actually a 3-cylinder prop if I made this myself. You're talking the rocking movement of the girl, the mouth movement, and the side-to-side movement. So it's really not bad for the price. You have the mouth movement, which is excellent. It kind of reminds me of Haggard the Witch. Same movement, pretty precise timing. The only negatives that I can see are the legs. They need to be beefed up. And I would say his arms need a pool noodle extra one around them, which isn't a big deal. When I tear it apart, I will be adding that. I just wanted a visual representation on what we're working with here. And he is very creepy. His eyes, they seem to follow you, which is just
Look at
very
what
strange.
I got another pet to play with. They're really fun when I poke them with a stick.
So you're talking like 5, maybe 4 or 5 voices, which is plenty. I'm going for some like circus stuff, and I'm going to be making some other props. So this will be a good addition to it. I give this 2 thumbs up. Build maybe A-. You know, there's a few things they could have improved upon, but I really enjoy it, and I look forward to displaying it. Thank you, and subscribe.